Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm Dr. Michael Pendleton, going to be talking about viruses. Of course, we're dealing with the COVID virus right now. Dr. Eves and I attended a very interesting and informative webinar last Friday. And they were talking about the concern of these viruses in the long term. You know, people can have this virus, not have any symptoms, but it can be in our system, stay in our system, and we could have problems later on down the line. Of course, the emphasis of our practice is on the brain, and I have seen over the years certain viruses get into the brain and cause different neurological conditions. With the COVID right now, we're wait and see. It's so novel, it's so new, but what we want to do is try to keep people from having problems down the line, including ourselves, with any type of issues with our brain dysfunction. Most commonly you see things that are seen with viruses in the brain would be like neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia. I've seen movement disorders. Those are people when they try to move, they shake. I've seen dystonic posturing. That's when people do things and their head will go in a certain position or their arm will cramp up. So the gist of this paper talked about four areas, and there's no one specific supplement that works for this virus or any virus. There's not one specific medication that works for this. So we can't prescribe medications, but what we can do is we can help you hopefully prevent any type of infection by keeping your immune system working. So I'm going to talk mostly about that. So there's 4 stages discussed in a paper that I'm going to quote from, which is evidence supporting a phased immunophysiological approach to COVID-19 from prevention to recovery. This is published in the Review of Emergency Research, and it has 383 references. I've never seen an article like this. The main author is Samuel Yannick, and he's out of the University of North Carolina. So there's prevention that we can deal with this virus. There's then the infection part, when somebody becomes infected. There's an escalating infection, or which is called the cytokine storm, and then there's recovery. So right now, I'm not going to talk about the infection, the escalating infection, or the recovery yet. I'm going to try to keep us from getting this disease if possible. So there's a foundation. And in this paper, again, great paper, few things that we want to do. We want to have a foundational support nutritionally and through some supplementation. So we've talked many times in the past about diet. Number one thing, decrease your sugar intake. It's inflammatory. We don't want to be inflamed. Foods, I talked about G-bombs a few weeks ago. That's on our webpage. No sugar or low sugar G-bombs get you exercise. Nutritionally or supplementation wise, number one thing, vitamin D, 5 to 10,000 IUs a day. Vitamin A, 5 to 10,000 IUs a day. Vitamin C, starting with 1 gram or 1,000 milligrams, and then you can increase that up until bowel tolerance. What that means is you don't get diarrhea. So if you take too much vitamin C, you can get loose stools. I personally take around 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C per day. Next thing, very interesting, the research shows that melatonin is very supportive to our immune system. That's taking, I believe, 3 to 10 milligrams a day. There's quercetin, they didn't really give an amount on that one. There's a good omega-3s. We like close to 1 to 3 grams of good omega-3s, EPA and DHEA. And another part of this is potassium, a high potassium diet. That is your foundation. Anna's going to put a link. We are working with a company named Zymogen, and they have a couple of products with everything that I just talked about. And we'll have a link below to this and a discount code with it if you're interested. The next thing is antioxidant support. That's in acetylcysteine and glutathione. So those two are an antioxidant part of this. There's also some virographics. I know it's a big word, but there's certain type of botanicals that can be supportive. But again, I'm not going to get into the whole treatment through somebody being preventing to going through the infection. This is just foundational. Dr. Eves may be speaking on Thursday, and he may go a little bit more into that type of detail. But right now, we're just going to review what's the thing you can do to prevent yourself from getting COVID and keeping your brain working properly. And numero uno, decrease your sugar content, decrease your glycemic load. Number 2, exercise. Number 3, we like the G-bombs. And then the certain supplements that I've discussed, and I will follow up with this in our posting.